let's be real. In today's world, our applications have to be on all the time. High availability isn't just a nice to have, it's table stakes. And the way we do that is by spreading them across multiple data centers. But, this creates a pretty big challenge that we absolutely have to get right.
Right? Think about it. The whole reason you have separate availability zones is so that if something goes wrong in one, a network glitch, a bad policy push, the other ones just keep on humming. So how in the world do you link them up for seamless communication without accidentally creating one giant domino effect? That's the million-dollar question we're going to unpack right now. All right, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by digging into that business continuance challenge. Then, we'll introduce Cisco's ACI MultiSite solution and break it down into its 3 core pieces. We'll see how it all plugs together. And then, my favorite part, we'll uncover the secret sauce that makes it all tick. Something called namespace translation. So first up, let's talk about the core idea here, what I call the isolation imperative. Look, using multiple data centers is a fantastic strategy for resilience, but it only works if a problem in one data center stays in that data center. They have to be truly independent failure domains. And this right here is the non-negotiable goal. The entire system has to be architected to guarantee, and I mean guarantee, that a failure in Site A, whether it's a network outage or just a human error, stays put. It can't be allowed to cascade and take down Site B. Isolating these failure domains is the fundamental problem we have to solve. And that brings us right to the solution we're digging into today. Cisco ACI MultiSite is an architecture that was literally built from the ground up to solve this exact problem, to give you that critical connectivity between your sites while being absolutely rigorous about maintaining that fault isolation. So how does it pull off this balancing act? Well, it's not magic, it's just some really clever engineering built on 3 key pillars that all work in harmony. So let's pop the hood and break down how it works. At its core, ACI MultiSite really comes down to these 3 functional parts. You've got the brains, which is the Nexus Dashboard Orchestrator, or NDO for short. You've got the address book, which is the inter-site control plane. And then you have the highways, which is the inter-site data plane. Let's take a quick look at each one. First up, the NDO. This is the conductor of the entire orchestra. It sits above all your separate ACI sites and gives you a single place, a single pane of glass, to design and manage the policies that need to stretch across those different locations. And this is key. It does this without actually merging the day-to-day management of the sites themselves. Okay, next up is the control plane. Think of this as the GPS for your multi-site network. It's how the different data centers learn about what's living in the other sites. It uses a super robust industry-standard protocol, MPBGP EVPN, to basically exchange address information, the MAC and IP addresses of all your endpoints. So a server in Site 1 knows exactly how to find a server over in Site 2. And finally, we have the data plane. So if the control plane is the GPS figuring out the routes, the data plane is the superhighway that actually carries the traffic. It does this by creating secure VXLAN tunnels between the sites. You can imagine these tunnels as private express lanes that wrap up the traffic from Site A and deliver it directly and safely to its destination in Site B. So we've got our 3 pieces of the puzzle: the NDO for policy, the control plane for addresses, and the data plane for the actual traffic. Now let's put it all together and see what the big picture looks like.
And this diagram really ties it all together beautifully. You can see the Nexus Dashboard Orchestrator up top acting as that single source of truth for policy. Then you see the spine switches in each site using MPBGP, EVPN to talk to each other and exchange all that endpoint info. And finally, when a packet actually needs to move between sites, it gets wrapped in VXLAN and sent across that overlay network. It's a really clean flow.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic, right? But there is a huge gotcha we haven't talked about yet. What happens if Site 1 and Site 2 were built years apart, totally independently, and they're already using the exact same internal network numbers? This is where the real secret sauce of ACI MultiSite comes into play.
So here's the problem in a nutshell. Inside every ACI fabric, every network has a VXLAN network ID, a VNID, and every security policy has a class ID. The crucial thing to understand is that these numbers are only meaningful locally, inside that one fabric. So if you try to connect 2 existing data centers, the odds are incredibly high that you're going to have conflicting IDs. And for most solutions, that's a complete showstopper.
But this is where the magic happens. Let's follow a packet from EP1 in Site 1 all the way to EP2 in Site 2. As that packet is about to leave Site 1, the spine switch does something brilliant. It translates the local VIN ID and class ID into a common, universal ID for the trip.
Then, when the packet arrives at Site 2, that spine switch performs the trick again, but in reverse. It translates the universal ID into the correct local ID for Site 2. It's like having a universal translator built right into the network, working at full speed. And this little table is the key to the whole thing. The NDO automatically programs these mappings onto the spine switches. You can see right here how it sets up a simple rule. When you see this ID coming from the remote site, just map it to this completely different, non-conflicting ID on the local site. It's this simple act of translation that allows two totally independent fabrics to talk to each other like they've known each other for years. And the impact of this is, well, it's huge. It means you're not just limited to building brand new greenfield multi-site networks. This is the real game changer. You can take two existing brownfield ACI data centers that were never ever designed to be connected, drop an NDO on top, and integrate them without having to spend months renumbering and re-architecting everything. It saves a ton of time and headaches.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The source material really hammers this point home. This built-in automated translation is the key differentiator. You see, other automation tools might be able to push configs to different places, but they don't solve this fundamental identity crisis. ACI MultiSite has the solution baked right into its DNA.
So let's just zoom out for a second and end with this thought. If you can truly, seamlessly stretch your networks and your security policies across different physical locations without worrying about the underlying IDs, what does that really mean for you? It means true application mobility. It means disaster recovery that you can actually count on. It means building hybrid cloud models that were just a nightmare before. It completely changes how we think about the boundaries of the data center.